Hey everybody, it's Jason Creel and welcome to another Q&A session. We are talking lawn care business, whatever you guys want to talk about. I'll talk about baseball, football, it doesn't matter. But in general, we talk about lawn care, and that probably makes the most sense to continue doing that. Believe it or not, I'm in Alabama. We have snow last night. We have probably, I'm going to say 2 to 3 inches of snow, which is the most I've seen in a while here. So exciting day here. I guess exciting, not too exciting for lawn care, but I thought, well, maybe other people are dealing with the cold weather and not able to take care of yards today. I've been out spraying yards. I did a little bit yesterday, but too cold today, too snowy. And so I thought, well, it'd be a good day to hop on here and let's have a Q&A time. Let's, by way of starting, what we normally do is I'm on here, roughly an hour. We can do less if there's not a lot of action, but feel free to ask any questions. Sorry if I'm coughing. My wife made me some kind of drink. I see if you can see something in there. I feel like it's one of those, it's some kind of smoothie, but I feel like it's got some grit to it, so it's like I can't tell if I'm supposed to be drinking it or eating it. So I'm just doing the best I can. I'm not sick or anything like that. As far as going on with me, I've been out spraying yards again, battling the weather. It's been cold, so that's been a challenge. If you've got any questions, go ahead and post those, type them in, ask as many as you want. We'll get to them as we can. Been out spraying and like I said, it's just cold. So it's one of those deals where when I come in at an afternoon, I've got to winterize my spray rig. I keep it out in my workshop, but it's not heated out there. And I've got like a space heater, but it's not insulated. No central air and heat out there. So that's a little bit of a pain. And I'm not ready for it to be hot, but at the same time, it's a little bit of a challenge dealing with the cold weather. So, what I wanted to talk about today, a couple of things. Well, one, by way of mention, the Lawn Care Life Conference is coming up, and there's some exciting developments with that. We got a great lineup of speakers this year. Andy Mulder, some of you may know him. I think he lives in Indiana or somewhere near Chicago, maybe Illinois. I don't know. I'm smart enough to know Illinois is in Chicago, but he may live in a part of some other state that's close to Chicago, but not actually in Illinois. I think that does exist. But he is built a large landscaping business, is very successful and done so debt free. So we got him coming, me, Paul Jameson, Alan Hain, Lawn Care Nut, all for the 2025 Lawn Care Life Conference. So if you haven't registered for that, you can go to lawncarelife.com and there's a link up there that says conference. You can read the schedule, the speakers, the prices, buy your tickets. There's a VIP ticket, which gets you some extra time with this guy that's coming. His name Brandon Gray. He's a business financial guru that goes all over speaking, and we got him, so excited about that as well. Other than that, I got revitalized here on starting doing YouTube videos again. Sometimes it's hard in the winter. I mean, in the winter time, it's like, what am I going to talk about? I mean, it's winter, the grass is brown, people are not caring about it. But I've sort of re-upped my game a little bit, or tried to, and better content. I want to get better. I've got a new person making thumbnails for me, going back using the editor, make better quality content. I actually I'll show it to you. I got a drone. This is the DJI Neo. I really like this thing. There's no controller. It's got 2 buttons on it. You launch it from the palm of your hand. It tracks me in the yard. So what I'm trying to do is I want informative content that people learn something from. I don't want to just create stuff that a lot of people create that's not exactly benefiting the world a whole lot. But you got to be a little bit, it needs to be entertaining to watch and have some value in it on that way, or people just won't watch it. So got a drone, got a little bit more enthusiasm about me, got editor, graphic designer, so maybe 2025 will be a good year. We'll see. All right, let's get to the questions here. Hilario, I'm gonna say that's Hilario, could be That's why I'm gonna say it. Tell me if I'm wrong on that, Mr. Perez. Good morning, love your content. Figured I'd stop by early spring. What do you start doing as far as treatment goes? I'm in South Texas, Bermuda, St. Augustine. Well, I can tell you what I'm doing right now. I'm out there spraying yards with. I'm trying something new. I've actually got a video coming out this afternoon, I think at 2 o'clock, telling you what I'm doing new this year that I haven't been doing in the past. But I'm typically the routine is you spray prodiamine, which is a pre-emergent. You get it out before the cool season or before your warm season weeds start germinating. So for me here in Alabama, it sounds like you're further south than I am. I try to get that done before the end of February. So I'm starting now, try to wrap up my yards around mid-February, maybe even sooner depending on the weather. So I would say, yeah, anytime sooner than later, you can put out prodiamine and then you mix it with some kind of post-emergent. I'm using triplet and atrazine. So you could do that and spray that combination. Now, you don't want to use the triplet on your St. Augustine. Well, Bermuda, you could do the prodiamine and triplet, or prodiamine, triplet, and atrazine. And on the St. Augustine, you could just use atrazine, or you could use prodiamine and atrazine. So that's what I'm doing. And then what I want to do this year, the thing I'm doing different than my videos about coming out today is I'm spraying some of my dormant Bermuda yards. And I don't know how dormant you're going to be there in South Texas, but for us with snow on the ground, we're pretty dormant. And dormant Bermuda, I'm spraying. It's a product called Samara. It's a generic form of SureGuard, and it's labeled for dormant Bermuda grass. So I'm out spraying that on some of my Bermuda grass yards. You can't use it on zoysia, and we'll see how well that works. And then what I wanted to do in this next application, what I typically have done in the past was I'll spray this, and then I'll fertilize in round 2, and then put out some spectacle in round 3. This year, what I'm trying to do is I'm spraying a pre-emergent round 1. Round 2, I'm going to come in with dismiss, 12 ounces per acre, high rate of dismiss, and see if I can't get ahead of these sedges that way on my Bermuda and zoysia yards. So I'm hoping that'll do a lot to suppress the sedges. So we'll see. All right, rambled on that one, but maybe that was good content. And I've got a little better camera on my screen here and microphone, but I've got a monitor now instead of just my laptop. So I'm reaching back here to control the mouse on my laptop. I need to get me a little mouse so I can control over here. But reach over here to control the mouse, but I'm actually looking this way at my big screen. So I've got a better setup. If you're new, I've got an office. I used to do these in my laundry room, which was not the greatest. But you can see now I've got a office setting here, got a big, nicer desk, and a lot of positive things. So I'm happy about that. Panic Freak ATL says, good morning, JC. What should I be doing to prepare my centipede in the spring? Pre-emerges down. Well, let me give you some. I'm assuming you're in Atlanta by your name. Sometimes, and I was talking with a friend of mine today about this. We said he often tells me, he's like, sometimes you go and you see a cemetery that does nothing, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, and they've got centipede grass. It looks better than the ones that we've treated a lot. So my thought is sometimes less is more, if you get what I'm saying. So I would wait until it greens up. You may have some weeds, and if it's still brown and you want to spray something for the weeds, that's fine. But once it starts turning green, the big thing with the centipede, in my understanding, is once it's in that spring transition, it starts turning green, don't spray it, because you're really going to delay the green up a lot of times. And, I'm always recommending products like Change Up is great for centipede. But if you spray Change Up on it, let's just say March in Atlanta, it's probably not going to go well for you. It'll kill the weeds, but it will turn the grass and keep it from turning green for a long time. I mean, I think in metsulfuron, I think it's even worse, man or MSN turf. So what I would say is, you sprayed it, you want to spray it now, fine. Don't do anything until probably April or so when it's green, and you have to live with some weeds. And then if you want to spot treat weeds with Change Up is, again, a great product for the broadleaf weeds at 3/4 of an ounce per gallon of water in a backpack or a hand sprayer is what I use on those. And or you can ride with your machine 16 ounces per acre, riding or spraying like a blanket application is what I do. So that would be what I say. And then of course you can start fertilizing when it, April or May when it starts getting green as well. So I'd be patient. Sydney, good to hear from you. Are you using Flumi on your dormant Bermuda? Yes, that is what I'm doing. That's what my video is about today. Thinking of experimenting down here, but my only, two concerns. He lives further south than I do. Even here, I'll say this, like yesterday I went to a yard. I was going to spray it. And I go in the backyard is real shaded and they left it long. I mean, it's been 20-something degrees night after night after night, or plenty of nights. And I go look at the back, and the back is still basically green, and the front's brown, And I was like, I ain't gonna do it. I think it would have been fine. What I remember somebody saying is that if it's not dormant and you spray it, it's gonna make it dormant, So I think it's fine. My gut feeling it would have been fine because it snowed today, and it would have turned it dormant, and it would have still greened up. But I don't want to risk that. So that's the issue I'm having, and I'm further north than you, is like some of them don't look fully dormant. And then you spray one that's Bermuda and you got a zoysia, part of it zoysia, or the next door neighbor is zoysia, and I can spray the Bermuda, but I can't spray the zoysia. So but I've got a split tank, and I have to flip my tank over and use prodiamine on the zoysia. So it's not a perfect solution, but what I said in the video is I want to know, I just want to see it with my own eyes. It may not be worth it, but if let's just say May comes around and the yards I spray with the SureGuard or the Samara is the one I'm using, are just super, super clean. And maybe even with the dove weed and stuff, maybe it makes a difference on that, or Caliga. And the ones I use prodiamine or have more weeds, I think they'll be fine too. I just want to see the comparison, and if it's not that big a difference, but the trick is, this year I'm using that I'm not trying not to use spectacle spray. I want to use Dismiss. Maybe they have a lot less sedges and Kalinga, but maybe it was the Dismiss that did it. So it's still going to be hard to tell, but anyway, I want to see it. Content Vault. Hey, Jason, what's been your favorite method for customer acquisition? So if y'all hadn't seen it, you can go back and look on my channel on we did a live stream, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, but these guys were on, it's called the Content Vault, and it's a platform, or just go look it up yourself. But what they do, they've developed, it's not AI created content, because I asked them that, but they have created a lot of social media posts, and they're high quality posts. They're not just like some clip art looking thing. So high quality content that you can search through by category, like landscaping or lawn care or whatever. And it's basically, you pay for their service, a monthly fee, and then you select that you want to post, you can select all their pre-calendar posts that are already scheduled for you, and you click on it and it automatically posts them to your social media profiles that you have put in there. Or if you don't, one of them doesn't relate to your business, then you can choose to not do that one. Or if you just want to go in there and pick one and just post it for today, you can do that. So it's all this pre-content that makes it simple to keep your social media profiles. Because what we talked about is sometimes you got like people that are so pitiful at their social media stuff from a lawn care perspective. Like if you go look at their Facebook page and they hadn't posted since 2017, and people look at that, they laugh. I don't even know if they're in business anymore, and they just don't post anything. So again, if you use the social media a lot to grow your business or stay relevant, then go check them out. Customer acquisition. Sorry, I almost got off the question there. For me, when I moved to where I moved now, I started my third line business. I immediately started cutting grass because I just needed to get his income coming in quick as possible. I began going on Facebook to local Facebook groups and looking for people that were searching for lawn care in our area. And I saw all these people that were being posted and recommended. I started calling them, reaching out to them. Some of them have websites, some of them don't. So Google doesn't get you all the people. There's a lot of them hidden gems on Facebook. So I go start finding them on Facebook, call them, say, hey, I'm Jason. I just moved here. I've been in the lawn business for a while, but I've started a weed control and fertilization business. I didn't know, do you have somebody you're currently recommending to your customers for weed control and fertilization? These were established mowing companies. And a lot of them say no, or a lot of them say, oh, I sent them to the big company down the road. And I began developing relationships with these people that were mowing grass. Some of them I would send them mowing customers. Some of them I'd give them a referral fee. Some of them I'd spray their yard for free. Some of them I'd go to breakfast with, whatever. I got to know them, and now they send me business. That was great. The other thing I've done is I work with Footbridge Media. If you go to the Footbridge Media website, at the bottom of the page, there's a link that says Lawn Care Life. They build your website and do your SEO for you. Okay, so I've gotten a lot. I got one today. I got one last night. I just called the guy. It said somebody went on my website and filled out the form, and it says, and it's in my city. And so I called him. I went on Yard Book, measured it, and got a measurement for the yard. Called him. They didn't answer. So then I texted him and said, "Hey, it's Jason with Alabama Lawn Pros. I got your request for a lawn care quote. Please give me a call. I'd like to talk to you about your yard." So I get a lot from my website. And if you want a website and SEO and all that, go to footbridgemedia.com, scroll to the bottom, click on the Lawn Care Life link. The reason I say that, yeah, it does benefit me. It's an affiliate link. But if you go through your own, you go on your own, it's $249 a month for them to build your website and do your search engine optimization. If you go do it through me, it is $199. So you save yourself $50 a month. How can I kill Poa annua and centipede? Well, all right, back on the centipede. So here's what I've seen. The centipede yards I have, which is not many, and I'm trying to get rid of the ones I got, basically. The ones who take care of it pretty well and mow it regularly, and it's nice and thick and healthy and low and tight and all the things, then it seems to handle whatever. It doesn't get many weeds. I don't even have to spray a pre-emergent on her. If I do spray a pre-emergent, it handles it fine. The ones that are thin and struggling, they get weeds. I don't want to spray a pre-emergent because they're already struggling. There's just a lot of issues. So, number one thing I would do is spray a pre-emergent in your area. If you're in Atlanta, let's just say late September, early October, spray your prodiamine and put that down. Sorry, my nose ran a little bit. I need to get some, but I'm live on here, so that makes it complicated. Well, I would spray that in September, October, and hopefully that's going to prevent you from having most of it. If you have it, the centipede is a little bit tricky. Revolver is probably the best product I know as a post-emergent, but it's for Bermuda and zoysia, so you're not supposed to use that. I don't think negate is supposed to be used on it either. You have to check the label. So you're left with products like, I don't even know about Katana, if that's it. Anyway, you might have to use like Celsius is one that I guess you could use, but it's not going to work as good. It's going to be real slow. So I would definitely go with the pre-emergent in the fall, and hopefully that keeps you from getting much. But if you wanted a post-emergent, I guess Celsius would be one option. You could check the label for negate, but I'm not feeling confident about that. And hopefully that will help you. All right, South Carolina, we got Eli. Any suggestions for Bermuda in January and then February? So it's just one or the other. Get your pre-emergent down before the end of February. I would think in South Carolina you'd be fine. So just spray it, prodiamine. You can spray that. Like I said, I'm using this other stuff this year, the SureGuard or generic SureGuard, but you could use prodiamine and some kind of post-emergent triplets. What I use are 2,4-D or change up or something, and spray that. But if it's dormant, you can spray it with glyphosate. I do that in my yard sometimes, 32 to 48 ounces per acre. So there's a lot of things, but just get that down before the weather starts warming up, and then you still, it's not going to fix everything. You're still going to have sedges and, weeds come up, but that's really all you got to do in January, February. Just get that done. Alfred says, hey, Jason. And hey, Jason, again, successfully got licensed and registered as a sole weed control business here in Fort Worth, Texas. Got about a dozen customers. Your material has been a great help. That's great, man. it's hard to get started. It's an accomplishment. I was talking to my wife this morning. I was like, you know what? I want to keep developing and growing in things. I don't want to just wake up and spray a yard or just make a YouTube video. I want to keep learning and reading books. I've got a video course I'm going through. Me and my daughter started working on our Spanish the other day. We're not good at it, but we're just continuing to develop a little bit and grow in some areas. So I think it's great when I hear somebody like this say, I got my license, and not that you have to do what I do or go out there and spray yards. If you're mowing grass, you mow grass forever, that's fine. But I like to see somebody that's trying and making things happen. And it may be a slow year or two to get going. You got a dozen customers, learn your craft, get good at what you're doing, and keep picking up more customers as you move along. And, it took me about 3 years to fill up my schedule. Now, I wasn't necessarily going broke in 3 years. I was mowing grass on the side, doing some other things. But once I got it going and established, now it's like, wow, that's great. But it wasn't necessarily easy go. All right. I appreciate you answering my question. Truly want to educate myself better on the liquid applications. Need to take your course sometime. Have a blessed day. No problem. Thanks for chiming in today. Frankenlawn, I think I've seen you on here before. Is it wise to use blindside at the half rate in January to get the existing weeds and get some dismiss down, followed by a later app of dismiss 6 ounces per acre to get ahead of the sedges? That's a great question. That's not what I'm doing. I think, 12 ounces is your max rate on the dismiss. And I've heard people talk like you just get to 12, somehow. If you want to do 3 and 3 and 3 and 3 or 4, 4, 4 or 6, 6 or just 12. I'm just going just straight 12. I'm just going 12, so, but you think about this product. FMC has a product called Echelon that's out there, and they say that with the Echelon, they give you a 100-day guarantee on sedges suppression. And I've heard people that do it. They're like, yeah, it's great. So Echelon is prodiamine and dismiss. Well, I just sprayed my prodiamine or whatever pre-emerge I'm using in January, and then the FMC guy I talked to, he's a sales rep. I think he said, we like to do it in March or April. Well, I understand that, but March or April, sometimes when the grass is pretty green here, so I don't want to run the risk of turning the grass brown, even though it's temporary, even though I don't think it's anything permanent damage or anything. With 12 ounces of dismiss can turn grass brown. And what my experience has been is when I sprayed it with a ride-on machine with dew on the ground, it tracked on the tires. I don't exactly understand how this happened, but I saw Monaz to where basically you could see where I had driven that mower not the mower, the sprayer. The tire tracks were just brown stripes through the lawn from the dismiss. Now, so my thought is, I spray them all by hand. I don't really want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out there in February, early March, before they start turning green, and spray them then, because then I don't think it's going to be an issue. So I'm going to go straight to it. And I talked to the FMC guy, and he's like, yeah, he said, that'll work. You should still get 100 days, but your 100 days just going to start earlier. So it's not going to keep them suppressed as long. So I don't think it's a terrible idea what you're doing. I don't know the great benefit of putting down blindside like in January. To me, that's an expensive product. So I would just spray some prodiamine in January, and then, if you want, I'm just doing all my prodiamine in January and then coming back with just dismiss and metsulfuron. So I'm basically mixing my own blindside in February into March, my round 2 treatment. That's what I'm doing. But I haven't done it yet to know how it's going to work. What's Brian's or name of pre-emerge again? What is Barricade. So Richard here says Barricade is the brand name for prodiamine. So yeah, the one I use says on the bottle, it says Resolute. You can get it granular or liquid or whatever. So, but Barricade is the name brand, but just prodiamine is the chemical name. So you're looking for prodiamine. I mean, you can buy prodiamine on Amazon, all kind of places. So thank you, Richard, for answering that. Prodiamine, pre-emergent. Hey, Jason, do you think it's okay to throw down some topsoil to level 1? Well, and I'm not an expert on all this stuff. The way I understand it is, topsoil's better for growing grass than sand, but sand is better for leveling. So sometimes people put down sand and it makes it nice and level, but not necessarily the greatest for growing grass. Or they put down topsoil's not necessarily the greatest for leveling, but it's better for growing grass. So if you're going to do sand, don't bury it so deep. Just put a little bit, like a quarter of an inch or so, to make it level. And if you got some deeper holes, then go with topsoil. But if you're just trying to, top dress it and make it like where you can reel mow it and it's barely bumpy, then sand might be all you need. But one of my landscaping supplier up the road, they sell like a kind of a mix that's basically sandy topsoil. So it's in some ways the best of both worlds. You get a little bit of the leveling benefits of sand, but it's not just straight sand. So yeah, I think topsoil's fine, but I would probably wait until it starts warming up. And if I just threw some topsoil on my grass right now, it's just going to be topsoil laid on top of dormant Bermuda, and it's not going to look that great. So I think once it starts growing, April or so might be a better time, in my opinion. Barricade. Thanks for that, Richard. Hi, I put down new Bermuda sods past June. Can I put prodomine on it in February? I live in Destin, Florida. Thanks for all the great information. Well, I want to tell you, I'm not going to tell you, you have to make your own decision, but here's what I do. My gut feeling is it's fine. I can't guarantee that it's going to be great, but yeah, likely if you put Bermuda grass in June, it was probably stuck to the ground in July, so by February, I feel real confident it's stuck to the ground. So you can go out there and grab it and pull on it and make sure it's stuck to the ground. And if you can grab it and it's barely rooted at all, then I would say don't do it. But if it's stuck to the ground, I wouldn't personally have any problem. But yeah, so that would be my answer. But the rule of thumb is typically you don't do anything like that until it's need mowed twice. So if you put it down in June, let's say, maybe by July, you're just kind of watering it, trying to keep it alive. I would think by August, September, you probably had to mow it, a few times before you hit colder weather in the fall. So I wouldn't have any concerns without looking at it. Again, you're looking at it. I'm just talking on the internet. What's the best weed chemical we can mix up and spray on jasmine that would not kill the jasmine? I don't know of anything that's going to be technically legal. So I mean, they're probably, that's why I don't like the jasmine, because they just you get stuff in them and it's just you get in there hand pulling stuff. So I don't know the answer. If somebody else knows the answer, please chime in. But it's a pain to deal with. There may be some stuff that you could spray that wouldn't kill the jasmine, but it's probably not legal because it's not going by the label. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what is labeled for jasmine that's would make it legal. This is my friend James. He's my lawn care friend and mentor and taught me all the grass stuff. And so James has been a guest on the show sometimes. So whatever he says is probably at least 20% more true than what I've told you. You can use, so the Fluma, is it Flumagard or so? I forget what, or Fluma. Well, no, Flumagard, I think, is one of the label names, but that we're talking about the SureGuard, the chemical. I forget. I looked at it today and I forget how to pronounce it, but it's, that's why we just say flumy, if I'm even saying that right. Sparge on a fertilizer on Bermuda that's not dormant. Spraying on the green foliage is where you get foliar burn. Spread when the turf is dry, no dew or water efforts. So what he's saying is, like, I'm out there spraying SureGuard or the generic version, Samara. He's saying that's the liquid version of it, that when it's green, it will burn the turf. Again, if I do it in January when it snowed the next day, if it turned a little bit brown for temporary turf burn, it's fine. If I do it in March, that's not going to look good. And the same, I mean, I don't know if it's the same principle or not, but it kind of similar with the dismiss. Like when you spray it, that's why I want to do it in February. If I do it in March or April, it's going to turn that green turf brown and you're going to see it, and you're going to turn this brown. It's going to take a little while. So do it now. But he's saying, what James is saying is you can get it sparged. James taught me that word. That means sparge means you can attach something to the fertilizer pellets. So you might see at Home Depot or Lowe's even 007, a bag, a 50-pound bag or 30-pound bag or whatever, 007 with prodiamine or with, whatever else they want to put on there. And so it's basically they're selling you a box of pellets, with next to nothing on it, but the chemical is attached to it to make it where you can put it out with a granular spreader. So James is saying the granular version can be sparged on there and it's not going to damage the grass, which makes sense. I didn't know that. Michael Herring, do you notify in advance before spraying on? Preferred way to do this? Do you notify in case of weather, wind, rain? Okay, that's a great question, and I know there's softwares that'll do that for you. What I do is when I try, as I've gotten more experience in doing this, I try to communicate with the customer as best I can when I sign them up. I try to make it real clear about how the payment's going to go, how often I'm going to come, what I'm going to do, what to expect. So I'll say, hey, here your options are to prepay for the year. You get a 5% discount if you want to do it, or you can put a credit card on file. And when you do that, what will happen is I'll charge your card at the end of each day, and I'll still email you a copy of the paid invoice. It'll show that it's already been paid, and that'll be a receipt for you, and it'll show a description of what I did on your yard that day. But in that, so that's communicating about how the payment goes, because I don't want to say, hey, I already paid, I gave you a credit card on file, and I still got an invoice. I'm like, yeah, if you click on it, it shows it's already paid. It's just basically your receipt. So same thing on that. In that conversation, when I'm explaining to them that I'm going to be out there about every 6 to 8 weeks, I'll say something like this. I say, hey, I typically don't notify customers that I'm coming unless you need me to. If you have a dog you need to put up or a gate that needs unlocked, I'm happy to notify you, but I don't do it unless you need to. And they'll say, no, we don't need you to. They just come on. I'll say, but even then, there'll be a yard sign in the yard, so you'll know that I've been there, and you'll get that emailed invoice at the end of the day, so you'll know, hey, Jason came by and sprayed your yard. So that's how I do it. But if they want me to, then on my schedule, I make a little notation. I put an N beside their name, which means notify. And the day before, I text them and say, hey, just let you know I'm going to be spraying your yard tomorrow. And a lot of times, if somebody's got a dog or needs to unlock the gate or something, and that's all that is. So it's probably, I would say, 5% of my customers, if that want to be notified. But it's not a bad thing to do. It's just one less thing I have to do. Richard says to Mike, you can use a sand topsoil mix. Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about. If you already have established grass, you want to do a leveling a little at a time, or it could kill off the grass in there. Yeah, I mean, Bermuda's pretty tough. I feel like, honestly, I could go dump about 8 inches on it. It would probably find its way through eventually, but not that would be a good strategy to use. So I like what Richard said. That makes a lot of sense, and that's what I've done. I'm supposed to make a video about this. So it's hard in the winter, but I've got this. I've had a couple of them. I've got like a leveling rake I've used for top dressing, and they're pretty good. I mean, you still have to get the sand out there, but it works good. I've had one of those rolling cage things, so you put it in there and you roll it, and they work, but you can't hold very much in the cage, so you got to refill it over and over and over. I got rid of that thing. The greatest thing I've seen is what's called the Eco Lawn 250. I actually have a customer who has one. They're pretty cool, and that's one of those big bucket things, and it's motorized, and you ride around, it just throws out everywhere. I've had people say, can you use your spreader to do sand? No, I'm not doing that. But something that just came out, I don't even know if it's out yet, but I think it is. I've got one, Spiker. I've been using Spiker spreaders for a while. They gave me one of these, and I need to test it out this spring. But they have their regular push spreader. I say it's regular, but they made an adapter kind of piece that fits over the thing that spins around. You basically don't want all that sand and stuff getting in there, clogging up the gears and all that's spinning. And so they made this little piece that fits over that and covers it up. So basically, they've made it where they can convert what looks like a normal top dresser, and I mean, a normal like fertilizer spreader into a top dresser. Right? So like it's a 80-pound hopper, and I can put sand in it and push it. And so I've got one, and I'm planning on using it. I just hadn't yet because it's wintertime. Original American says, I called this lawn care supply store here in Houston by the name of BWI, and they said the best weed killer used on jasmine that won't kill jasmine was Certainty weed killer. Okay, yeah, you'd have to read the label on Certainty, and but Certainty's not going to kill every weed, So even if, let's say Certainty's labeled for jasmine, I have no idea if it is or not. So you'd have to read the label and see if it's labeled. But Certainty is, in my mind, what we use Certainty for is killing sedges and grassy weeds. So I don't know if you had a dandelion in your jasmine, maybe you just got mostly grassy weeds, but you know what I'm saying? Like if you got Bermuda grass growing in your jasmine, Certainty is not going to kill that. It's not going to kill any of your warm season grasses growing in there. So it had a cool season grass, which in Houston, I would think the heat would zap those. It would kill those if you had sedges. So I don't know. I'm not feeling too strong about using that. Even if it's on the label, I'm not sure it's going to kill the intended weeds that you have in there. So I guess that might be the problem with that. So, all right, guys, we talked for a while. There's no more questions. If you got something else, go ahead and chime in here. If not, go check out. We're trying to get the original. I just trying to save you some money. I mean, I love Certainty. I use it all the time, but I never sprayed it in that situation, and I just don't want you to spray it. It's not going to kill every weed. Okay, so that's part. Go check out the Lawn Care Life conference. If you haven't done so, lawncarelife.com, the conference link. Oh, got one more here. Hey, Jason, you ever use the 4600 fertilizer spray on lawns, and what else kills chinch bugs besides bifenthrin? James is on here. He'd probably help us with the chinch bugs. Bifenthrin is what I typically use on the chinch bugs. This year, my new product that I'm doing is a Celprin Extra. So last year, I got some chinch bug problems on zoysia lawns. We had armyworms and grubs and all the things. And so there's a Celprin Extra that's come out. It's hopefully going to be the answer to all my problems. So maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. So I'm going to put that out in June, and I think it will. If maybe this is the product that James told me that has Celprin in it, but also has an ag ingredient, what's called Meridian, is another insecticide. So anyway, it's going to hopefully knock out whatever bugs are there in the short term, but also give you the Celprin. Usually gives you months of. Yeah, he said Meridian, so that's what I'm talking about. The Meridian is one, or Arena. So you can check those out. But I'm gonna put this out in June, and hopefully I won't have the chinch bug damage, because sometimes when you see it, the damage can be pretty severe, and that's been my experience. So that's what I'm starting to do in June, an application of a Celprin Extra. And that's for grubs, for chinch bugs, for armyworms, all of it. You already mentioned, what's the conference again? Conference is February 21st and 22nd. LawnCareLife.com. Click on the conference link. The octopus red waving. That means a lot. I think I don't know what that is. James says Marina or Arena if chinch bug if bifenthrin is not working. Hey, I'm not sure if you ever used Ego products before, but they have battery powered backpack sprayer launching in the month. Curious to know if you've seen. I haven't used that. I know it's a good brand, and I've used their blower before. I've got a Milwaukee handheld sprayer, and I had a Milwaukee backpack sprayer. So yeah, the battery powered backpack sprayers are great. And then there's other ones that they're great as well. I haven't tried that one, but I love the idea of a battery backpack sprayer. All right. Any more questions? Bring it on. If not, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for hopping in here, and snowing outside. Hopefully by Monday I can get back out there and knock out some yards. We'll see you guys next time.